Have the conversation. Make sure you join us with the hashtag TV3Newday across all our platforms, and just go search for TV3 Ghana on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. As you do that, now let's introduce our guest for the morning. I do have right here in the studio the Member of Parliament for Adaklu, Kwame Govins Agboja. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Roland.
And then also for Government Communications, we have Kofi Tonto.
Yeah,
How are you? Tonto.
Yeah, and now Tonto.
Tonto.
Yeah.
Okay, so
It's an Asante name.
Tonto. So Mac Tonto's name was always Tonto.
Well, I don't know where he got his name from, but
Right.
mine is an Asante name and it's pronounced Tonto, except that we've brophilized it a little bit, but it's the right pronunciation is Tonto.
Tonto.
Yeah.
Tonto, how are you?
Very well, yourself.
Yeah.
I think it's the first time we are meeting. I've seen you on TV, of course, but we've had it.
Actually, I've been in the studio a few times that you've interacted with Johnny.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just that, because he can't pay the days. So, so far, what's the line of communication in terms of the brouhaha that the Meek mail visit has generated on the corridors of the presidency?
Okay. Well, let me say a very good morning to you and to your cherished viewers. And then let me also say a very good morning to and a happy new year to my senior brother. We've never met. Of course, I've seen him on TV in parliamentary engagements and all of that. But we've never had the privilege to be on a platform together. See, last week I saw a video and then I also saw some pictures. Personally, I was taken aback when I saw the pictures of Meek Mill's, not him being at Jubilee House per se, but his dressing, his attire. I was taken aback a little bit, and I felt, why wasn't he dressed up properly, especially if he's getting the opportunity to go and see the president? Perhaps someone could have sewn him a nice kaftan or something.
You mean yourself, working with the presidency, you were surprised?
Of course. I mean, I have every right to see something, and I feel that could be done differently or better to express it. So when I saw that, I was a bit taken aback. And so, you know, it sort of passed through, you know. But for me, that was where the first issue started. And then I saw subsequent engagements regarding his mannerism and other things. And then I felt, okay, well, if he came in dressed up like that, sometimes in this space, you know, when I was in Washington and having managed the ambassador communications and all of that, there are instances where you plan everything, but then the person will show up still not properly attired or whatever reason. But then you sort of set in the second motion of trying to correct that error. So I feel the second thing to have done was to sort of take control of the whole situation. For example, tell them to take their cameras away, take their phones away, and then appoint a photographer, right? So you couldn't control the attire, but you can control what transpires. So you take all of these things away, and then you appoint a photographer. What that does is it gives you the ability to be able to determine what goes out. I hope you get my point. It gives
I'm just surprised that you are the presidency and having all these experiences, this happened.
No, I'm not at the presidency. I'm with the Ministry of Information. I'm a government spokesperson, all right. I'm just expressing to you what I think could have been done differently. And it's okay. You know, if an error is made, I think it's okay for us to be able to admit that there's an error. I hope you get my point. So I think at that point, someone should have taken control and said, you know what, let's take the pictures and then let's give it to him. So, for example, he was wearing a white top and some shorts. So you could still take the pictures and crop just the relevant parts and put it out, right? So for me, that was the second error, protocol-wise, that could have been corrected. Nevertheless, I think we have to look at the intent. Was there really an intent to sort of embarrass or disrespect Ghanaians or embarrass the president? I don't think there was a genuine intent to do something wrong. I think there was some degree of lapse when this transpired that could have been handled better. But the intent was genuine to
Kofi,
really...
do you think that within the conversations that has been going on the last 24 hours, there is any conversation about whether there was an intent on the part of the artist to come and embarrass Ghanaians? It's about the lax protocol around the president and the inability to be able to have a certain foresight about how that lax protocol and the actions thereof could have implications on the presidency in Ghana.
I'm not even referring to the intent of the artist. I'll come there. I'm referring to the intent of the people who handles the president. I'm saying that I don't think there was an intent to do or take an action in bad faith. I'm saying that there was a security protocol lapse. And as a government spokesperson, it's okay to admit that there was a lapse.
Okay.
And then it's okay to also credit our brothers and sisters who've been managing this whole thing. I've been part of it. When I was in Washington, you know, when this whole thing started in 2019, I remember when it started, people didn't really fully understand the whole intent, purpose of Year of Return. We've come a long way. And we've had some great successes. I mean, our brothers at the diaspora office, Abebu, Nadia, Akwesi.
You're not pointing out the fact that anybody saying that the Year of Return has not been successful. It's been a successful thing.
I'm not
it's about a
that.
breach or a lax in judgment of officer or group of people around the president. That's now brought us where we are.
I've already addressed that by saying that there was a lapse.
Okay.
I haven't defended anything.
Okay.
So I think we are just repeating the same thing. I've already admitted that there was a lapse.
Please put the picture of Meek. I'm always saying, you've lived in Worcester, Massachusetts. You've lived there.
I grew up there.
Okay, you grew up there. That Nika, the gentleman.
No, I'll come to all of that, my brother.
The gentleman, please. The Nika that the gentleman is wearing, as somebody who has lived within Americans, can he take this to go and meet the president?
No, I'll come to all of that, and I've already answered your question. I've said that there was a breach in protocol. I've said that I was personally taken aback when I saw what he was wearing. So asking me this question is having me repeat something that I've already said, that there was a breach, you know. So the point is, our brothers and sisters have tried their best to promote Ghana, to project Ghana. In the process, there's an error. I've gone on Facebook, I've gone on Twitter, and I've gone on other places, and I've seen the vitriol, the attacks, some instances, the insults, you know. And
by who?
Oh, by people. I mean, people, not necessarily you or anything, but there are people making comments. There are thousands and millions of comments on social media. And I'm saying that it is okay to admit that there was a lapse. But in doing that, in criticizing our brothers and sisters who are responsible for this, in saying that something, we could have done it better, we have to be equally mindful not to sort of condemn and attack and insult them, right? We need to be mindful in that sense, just to show that this is a very important thing. Ghana has benefited greatly from the Year of Return, and we stand to benefit a lot more from this project. So if an error occurs, let's look at how we can constructively criticize. As I'm sitting here as a government spokesperson, openly saying that there was a lapse. Let's do that. Let's accept that an error was made, and let's fix it, let's correct it. But then as we go forward, let's encourage our people to do more and to do it better, to avoid some of these errors.
Within the corridors of the Jubilee House, has investigations...
I can't speak to any investigation. I think certainly for something.
So the gentleman we don't know the people who breached the security, because you're admitting to a situation of a protocol breach, a security breach.
I haven't said anything about security. Okay. I've said protocol.
A protocol breach. Yeah. So certainly people were put or supposed to be in responsible positions and acted irresponsibly. So have they been identified, and what steps are being taken?
Well, my brother, let's be mindful. You see, I haven't used, for example, the word irresponsible. I'm saying that I have been in the position where I've had to manage situations like this, where you can even speak to the person who is visiting, for example, the embassy, go through the requisite protocols. The person will still show up, not having done everything that you both agreed on. And I'm saying that was the first lapse. The second lapse was taking control. I don't think we have to necessarily say that someone was irresponsible or this or that. There was an error. Let's admit it. Let's criticize. Let's correct. Okay? And let's encourage people that going forward.
You don't think that breaches around the president are rampant? You think this is a one-off?
No, I haven't said that.
No, I'm asking you. You don't think that? It's a question.
No. Oh, it's a question. I mean, I don't think.
You don't think so?
I don't. Well, I haven't necessarily done a thorough analysis of breaches around the president. I am speaking specifically to this issue, specifically to persons who handled this issue. And I'm saying that, yes, an error was made. Let's correct them. Let's criticize them. And let's guide them in ensuring. I mean, some of these conversations. Why do you think we are having this conversation? We are having these conversations because we are trying to elicit some relevant information to help in what we are trying to do. Let's not have the impression that when we appoint someone to do something,
because this is too many a time for all of us.
No, my point. No, I'm not saying. I'm saying that when we appoint someone to do something, let's not have the impression that they cannot make an error.
And they have to continuously make an error. You remember the situation of Sewa Broni, for example. We've had the president.
What has the Sewa Broni got to do with anything?
There are security breaches around the president.
Roland, let's stick to the issue. If you want to talk about Sewa Broni, we can talk about Sewa Broni. The issue here is
the security is about breaches.
No, I'm referring to protocol. Okay, if you want to talk about security breaches, you can define what security breaches are.
You can't find protocol in security.
We may. Why not?
Because you have worked with
them.
We
may, but it is not every. No. We may, because it's not every protocol lapse that is a security lapse. I mean, there are some protocol lapses that are security lapses.
So, Kofi, now we admit that there was a problem.
Okay.
Right?
I've said that there was a security lapse, certainly.
So, have we identified, or have we taken corrective actions within the presidency? Do you think that we need to know as a government communication person?
Well, there are some instances where the government may come out and make some pronouncements. There are some instances that the government may even take some protocol steps.
Do you think this is one of them that we need to know?
I wouldn't know necessarily. I wouldn't know, because it depends on the steps. I think, for example, the first step they are probably going to take is review the protocols as far as entering the premises. Right?
So, Kofi, you don't know whether an action has been taken so far?
No, you haven't asked me if there's been an action. You are asking me what could be done. And I'm saying that there are certain...
Do you know whether an action has been taken?
As I sit here, I don't know for certain what actions have been taken. What I know is that for sure...
But you're communicating for government on this.
No, but you see, if I'm communicating for government, it doesn't necessarily mean I will know every single action of government at every single material.
You don't think this is an emergency enough for an action taken by government in a remediative nature to be communicated to you, to come and communicate to the Ghanaian public?
Because that action may be in process. There may be some reviews.
But you don't know.
No, I'm saying that there may be some reviews of processes and protocols. Once that is available, we'll communicate to you. I don't think there is any intent to hide anything from anyone. I think the most important thing is that what are we learning from this? The most important thing is that admitting that there was an error, and we are learning so that going forward we can correct some of these measures. And you know, that's for me one of the biggest lessons really is that this presents a great opportunity for us to mend our cultural differences, because clearly what transpired exhibits some degree of cultural differences between us and our brothers and sisters in the diaspora.
How do you mean?
I mean, of course, if you look at the mannerism, if you look at the dressing and all of that, it tells you. Remember where Meek Mill is from.
Is this the first time people from the diaspora are coming here?
No. It's not the first.
And is anybody dressing anyhow allowed to visit the president?
I haven't said
in the
that.
present day and time?
No, I haven't said that. I'm saying that.
So why is it that Meek Mill?
Because this is a bigger issue than just this instance. I'm speaking from the point of view where I've had so many interactions with people who have visited Ghana. And I'm saying that this presents an opportunity for us to take a holistic look at our cultural differences. I mean, I think...
How is this? I'm trying to get the cultural bit, because it's you're visiting the president of a country. It's different than you being on the street.
Have you read what Meek Mill said?
What did he say?
He said that even when he went to see the president, he said that he's a boy from the streets.
What has that got to do with you visiting the president?
No, I'm saying that...
I'm a boy from the street from Ashaiban, but when I'm going to visit the president, I can't dress anyhow.
No, you're not getting my point.
I'm not getting your point. Seriously,
you see, Roland, I think you are more bent on trying to identify what else there could be versus having a... No, you are bent on that, because the point I am making to you is that we've had people who've come here who've gone through protocols. There are people who may dress appropriately but still have issues with cultural sensibilities and all of that. There are so many issues. So let's not undermine the fact that there could be cultural differences. In fact, there are cultural differences.
What has that got to do with going to an office to go and visit the president of the republic?
I am saying that, first of all, a young person like me in Ghana, for example, I would immediately dress a certain way. A young person in America, for example, from a certain part of America, may immediately dress a certain way. Meek Mill said it, that he's a young boy from the streets. So when he was coming, he didn't have any intent to disrespect Ghana or the presidency. So the way he sort of handled himself and all of that.
Before he went to the presidency, he had dressed that way. He was on his bike and all that. That's acceptable.
Yeah, of course.
But when you're going to the president, you go through people, and the people make sure you are in the right appearance before you...
But Roland,
what has that got to do with the culture to meet the president?
I've already said this a million times.
About what?
No,
you are mentioning culture.
Yes, there are cultural differences. Look, let me give you an example.
No.
Okay, what is it?
There's culture. Culture is the way a group of people live.
Okay.
Their communal spirits, the way they undertake their livelihoods. Okay. When you are going to meet the chief and you say you are an Asante, right? So an Asante man, you're going to meet the Otumfor. Because on the street of Edum, I mean, you go about your trade anyhow. If you are entering Minchia, would I or would you be allowed just to enter the way you came in or dress from Edum?
I've already answered that. That wasn't the best way for the person to come in, and that there was a lapse. I've already said that. Right. And I'm saying that there are cultural differences. Sometimes the person coming may not have a full appreciation of what you are trying to communicate. I'm giving you examples of where you even speak to the person on the phone, take time and go through all the protocols. They will still show up not fully understanding everything you said.
And you still allow them to go through.
And I said that we could have resolved the issue, we could have handled the issue better. That's what I'm saying. You keep repeating the same thing that I've said. I've admitted that there was an error. I've admitted that when the first error occurred, there was a second opportunity to correct it. I've said all of that. So I'm not in any way justifying...
We're talking culture.
And but you keep bringing this up. And I'm saying that this presents the opportunity for us to mend our cultural differences, not just the way we dress. Because me sitting in Washington, for example, I know there are cultural differences in how we behave. There are cultural differences in how we attend events. Look, I've gone on Twitter, for example, And I've seen videos of some of our African American brothers raising concerns about how things are done in Ghana, right? So I'm saying that this gives us the opportunity to look at the holistic cultural differences and put some measures in place so that going forward we can avoid some of these errors. I have not said that what he did was right or what they allowed was right. I have not suggested so. So I think it's a great opportunity for us to mend our cultural differences and see how best we can all market and project Ghana in the best way possible. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think coming from where Mr. Tonto is coming from, it's about making sure an activity that has taken place, a mistake, and then there's forgiveness, we move on.
Well, good morning.
Whether there's a breach or not, we have to move on.
Mr. Roland, and good morning to my, I can call him a friend because he called me a friend. I've never met him, but he spoke well. I want to commend you for taking a bold step to at least speak your mind on what you see as a breach. I think it's much bigger than that, and I'm also commending you for raising the issue that there are a series of things that have gone wrong. First of all, you gave a local example. I mean, how I present myself, assuming I come from Volta region, and I am visiting Yana in his palace. How I present myself, in fact, I don't think anyone will admit me to his palace in a particular way. I would have been briefed. And anytime you're visiting, even if you were visiting an ordinary person's house, you want to know what is the culture, what is the person expecting me to look like. So the culture doesn't come in here at all, because in any case, I don't think the culture within which Meek Mills operates, which is, let's call it the American culture, there's no way an American president would allow an artist to come to the White House dressed like this and carry out the things they carried out. And there are two parts to this. There's a difference between paying a courtesy call on a president and having the permission to shoot a video using some of the symbols of our country. And Mr. Roland, let me tell you this. If you read article, parts of the Constitution.
Which article is that? I have the Constitution here.
Okay. Let me take you to Article 58. It says that
58.
Yes, 58.4. It says that all decisions taken in the capacity that the president will take in his capacity are deemed to have been taken by Ghana. 2. The Article 50 from 57 all the way towards 70. If you read, the presidency is a very powerful organ of state and embodies the pride and everything of our country. In fact, the presidency represents everything that we hold dear. So when you have a situation where, and this is the place I'm going, when you have a situation where the president takes oath to protect and act in a way that always projects the image of the country. Mm-hmm. And let me give you one part of the Constitution that we should even be thinking whether what the president has done calls for his removal.
It's not the president who did it.
Listen, let me tell you, you are wrong. And listen to the president. He says, my daughter insisted that I meet you. So this was not a government.
What is wrong with that?
Hold on. If you are president, you're supposed to act with hindsight. We are supposed to act in accord with...
Are you saying that if you become president one day, we can have your relative or your daughter recommend you to meet somebody?
So if that is what you are saying, so this is the president believing that an advice from his daughter is what he should take and act this way, because he said it. My daughter insisted that I see you.
Yes.
So I'm saying
so the daughter.
So when I hear people,
the daughter paved the way and asked requested of the father.
Okay.
So I think we have to take the president's speech in a sense that it's a daughter-father relationship, and the recommendation is that as my daughter oh, okay, I can accept the person to meet me. But
No,
if the person comes in a way and the president is in a fix around this table, somebody definitely just didn't do his work.
The crux of my...
It's got nothing to do with the daughter of the president.
The crux of my issue is that this president is exercising the power of a president capriciously, in a sense that he ought to be acting in a way that protects the image of the country. For instance, there are boundaries as to how a president should act. If you go to sleep, you have a dream that you should build a cathedral, and that becomes a state policy. Listen, you're shaking your head. I'm saying that there's a series of things that are happening that are quite... this current president have extended the boundaries to a very nebulous level that nobody knows what is a state policy or what should be done by a president. So when you dream, and then that dream becomes a state policy, let's spend $400 million to build a cathedral. You wake up, your daughter tells you that there's an artist in town. You must meet him. And in the process, you see your daughter bring this person to the presidency. Indeed, maybe because of the way the president is, when the daughter brought this gentleman to the presidency, everybody was afraid of telling her that you can't let them come in this way.
That's conjecture.
It is possible, to the extent that you saw an individual throwing his hands over the shoulders of the president in the president's office taking pictures. And let me read Article 69 to you. He said,
read it.
This
I
is
have
serious.
the Constitution here.
Article 69B. He said,
so they are matching you boot for boot.
Article 69 1B. Interestingly, he said that a president can be removed, and if I read that particular, which his action, which brings or is liable to bring the high office into disrepute. You understand?
How did the president, by meeting Meek, bring the high office of the president?
Did you hear the lyrics of what he was the songs he was singing? Do you see? You were asking him.
I don't listen.
Can somebody wearing
I don't listen to his music. We can
somebody wearing that kind of a thing, that kind of an attire, a shot, and then somebody throwing his hands over the shoulders of the president, and kind of things he was singing in his music. If those things don't, it surely speaks to the fact that...
Are you saying that because of the lyrics of the music, the video clip shouldn't have been shot there?
No, in the first place, when you see movies made in America, that you see White House and other things, those films were never shot in the office of the president. They create studios or locations to do that. So all these people giving these ideas that...
So they're called props.
I mean, the ideas that... And I'm saying that this president has actually acted in a way that is different from what the Constitution expects him to act. And this is not the first time. You gave one example. So, Bruni, lack of judgment. This is another big lack of judgment of the president. I'm saying that the president is beginning
Well, Mr. Tonto says that is an admission of a mistake. And that admission, at least, people like you who are raising this concern, and you are a member of parliament, so you have legitimate concern. He says that
he's not speaking. He's not the president, and in fact, I don't see how he can take any blame. This blame has to do with the president himself. I hear people saying that.
Oh, but he's communicating for government.
I hear people saying that somebody in Flagstaff House should resign or something like that. I'm saying that what if the president acts in a way at the Flagstaff House such that when the daughter speaks, it takes precedence over others? That is what you get. And I'm saying that blame the president and the daughter. And I'm saying that this president is acting capriciously. That is in contravention of what he's expected to do. I hear people talk about the year of return. My brother, Ghana made a conscious decision to create a linkage between our brothers and sisters abroad since 1992. Panafest was 1992.
Of course.
We have series of engagement, massive one, investments and other thing. It did not start in 2019. So what is this thing about the fact that this was supposed to project or give a corridor for African Americans to come to Ghana? They've been doing this since 1992. So this is why I say that I commend him for taking at least a position personally.
But you're saying he's not the person to do that.
In fact, if this was supposed to be coming from government, he should say that I'm speaking for government, I'm admitting that something went wrong. But guess what? Since this thing happened, you see the opposite happening with majority of government communicators. They are defending it, using the year of return.
What do you make of those defenses? Like the one Mr. Tonto
I see a lot of the people blabbing over other things. They simply don't have
what defense, for example?
I've seen people use the issue about, it will promote, it's marketing. Okay, look, if it's about marketing, what marketing have you done right now? It simply shows that.
Well, we've marketed the presidency.
No,
I mean, if I have to interpret what
it shows that our presidency is like by the roadside. You can walk in anyhow and in and out. In fact, you can go and throw your hand around the president and take a selfie because that's what they were doing. Could you imagine entering the office of the president with your phone taking selfies? And this is not about the president. Don't forget that the Article 35 or so, the sovereignty of this country does not rely in the president. It relies with the people. And the people are very crossed with this lackadaisical attitude of the people in power today. You see, you may be the president today, but Ghana, exists perpetually. So whatever you do today should not be the embodiment of the state.
Well, he admits it's a mistake.
No, he's not government. You pushed him and he says that, look, I worked. In fact, initially I thought he was coming from office of the president. He said it's from Ministry of Information. It's also government, I agree. But until we see somebody with that level of clout who was present, who comes in to say that what he is saying, we also agree that we messed up. And we apologize to the people of this country. Okay.
I asked a question about, by this time, shouldn't we be having a communication activity telling us that these are the people who did not take their duties responsibly, and as a result of that, these are the actions or processes of actions being taken?
The president himself must apologize. Why? Because he says that my daughter insisted. Why are you going to punish somebody when the president's daughter is the one who insisted that the thing should happen? Why should you and your daughter mess up and then you are looking for a poor person at Flagstaff House to be punished?
Mr. Govin Sagboja, what do you mean by you and your daughter messed up? I want to know.
Yes, the president took a very feeble advice from the daughter. He should have known that the daughter is not capable of giving you good advice. You have Council of State, you have many presidential advisors. They could have advised you that when you invite somebody who is capable of being unpredictable, they should have deployed what he is talking about. Take the person through the processes to make sure that all those things are removed. Their mobile phones taken off. In fact, I agree with him. Give them a camera person so that what goes out. So many things goes out around. The president, and you only get to see what they want you to see. So I am saying that nobody else to take blame. In fact, if I see anybody else punished at the Flagstaff House, I will say that this scapegoating, the person or the two people responsible for this mess is the president and the daughter.
Oh, but you're a member of parliament, you can't say that.
What else? The person says that my daughter insisted. So I'm saying that the daughter insisted that the thing happened that way it happened.
Now, let me just get you a clipping from that interaction, and then I'll get to Kofi and ask a question or two.
But Johnson Jakroma insisted that you should come and say hello to me. And I appreciate that very much. I heard about last night.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Whoa. And it's happening at a time when a lot of places in West Africa are under a lot of difficulties. And here we have, 100,000 or something more?
That was a lot.
Coming out to party, to listen to you and enjoy themselves.
Yeah.
It's something really extraordinary. We have to thank you for that. Make the best of it by reforging the link and leveraging our mutual strengths of each other and for each other so that we can elevate the position of black people in the world. Here and over there in the Americas as well. It's a very important development for both of us. I'm very keen on it, and we're doing a lot of talking around the world to make sure that there's a clear understanding on all our parts of how very, very, very important it is for our future that we connect and everything that is built around that to grow.
Yeah, Roland, can you play the part where the young gentleman speaks? There's a part where he also speaks. If you can work on that, I think it will be very helpful.
You want the part where McMill
also speaks.
McMill responses.
Yeah, he spoke for about a minute or so, and he speaks about why this is important and his background and what this means to him, the things he learned.
But that is it's not under dispute. His comments, right?
No. I'm just saying that you should play it. I mean, you are trying to give
Do we have
your viewers
Okay.
a good impression of what transpired. Is that not so? Yeah, I think it's good that they hear what the young gentleman said. Yeah.
2 bags of marijuana in my pocket. I never really believed in selling crack. Then my friends really started hanging out with each other, and I got to know him. I scaled him because I don't know any powerful, successful white men. I never had. I asked him one day because I knew he was extremely powerful from me viewing him, and I asked him. I said, "Could you come to court with me?" He came in the back and told me that he wouldn't leave me back there. He swore to get these type of people.
But we can
This is
go
not
on.
the
This is
part.
not the part.
So now the president is being blamed for this, but it's all because the communication has not been coming forth about the actions that have been taken following this breach.
Well,
you are saying that it's just protocol, not even a security breach.
No, I'm saying that, first of all, my senior brother, they have to understand that to become a president, you have to go through elections and for people to vote for you. It seems almost at every instance, they are always calling for the president to be impeached and all of that. I think it's getting one too many, right? Yes, there's an issue that has come up. To go to the extent that we have to impeach the president, I mean, what is the whole point that he's trying to make? You know, I think it's not necessary. You shouldn't go there. I understand that you want President Mahama to become a president. He has to go through the processes to become a president.
Are you saying that because they want former President John Mahama to be...
Of course,
back,
that's the reason why he's behaving the way he's behaving.
So whatever actions that could be questionable should not be...
No, I've not said that. I'm saying
what are you
that.
saying?
I'm saying that you even prompted him that he's going a bit too far with his analysis. I am saying that you can correct people when they are wrong, but it is not everything that has to link with impeachment. That's the point I am making.
Appointment.
You know, so let's not extend every argument.
let me read
I have Justice Abdullah, please, although you want to read
Yes.
the Constitution.
Yes.
Somebody who works closely with the Constitution
right.
as well,
Okay.
including you also do, because you're a member of Parliament, is Justice Abdullah. He's a legal practitioner, but also teaches the law with the law faculty of the UPSA. Now, thank you for joining us, Mr. Abdullah. You take the criticism that has come, and now at the center of this discussion is the role of the president and the presidency. Should we, in the matter of the law, situate that and say that the president and his assigns have acted wrongly, and that is a denigration of the sovereignty of our country?
Thank you, Roland. Indeed, thank you, and my greetings to Honorable and my good friend in the studio. So Roland, this is how I take this whole
Episode.
discussion. Yeah, if you, myself, or anyone in the street goes to the Flagstaff House today, the kind of rigor you'll be made to go through as a citizen, you will literally feel like a terrorist. You'll be searched, your entire gadget and literally everything that you hold will be taken from you. You'll be made to go through series and series of protocols and security checks. Right from there, the main entrance itself, where you meet military officers. Then when you succeed in entering the premises, there are people, in fact, there is I think an overall reception that receives you, that takes you through another series of protocols. Would even have to call whoever you are visiting to confirm whether or not he's expecting you, whether you have an appointment, and all kinds of security checks. From that point, if you succeed in breaking that particular barrier, there are yet 2, 4, or more ahead of you before you eventually meet the person that you intend visiting. This is a Ghanaian, a citizen.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing he did wrong was to be a Ghanaian. And he go through all these checks, even for a civilian and ordinary citizen who probably may have good credentials and have a genuine reason for visiting. And you have a musician from a different country coming to our jurisdiction through a presidential daughter, succeeding in getting closer to the president, and literally had access to every single office of the Flagstaff House. I do not think that for most people condemning the videos going around, it is the indignation is really about having the Flagstaff House out there, because a lot of other presidential policies around the world are in movies, are in videos, are in all kinds of documentary, audiovisual platforms for genuine reason. Of course, security checks are allowed. You are made to accept that A can go out, but B cannot go out. But in our case, it looks like this gentleman from nowhere had access to literally everything without any checks, without any protocols being followed. And an access that the average Ghanaian would never have had. In fact, as a matter of fact, even the Ghanaian at the top, without being politically connected, probably would never have had. If our movie makers had even applied to use the presidential palace to do a decent movie, to portray our culture, our way of life, greater chances are that the person would have been denied that opportunity.
Ms. Abdullah,
probably not even be allowed to act. Yes,
Ms. Abdullah, let me ask you this. The breach in protocol, which is not the norm, because protocol means that it's an everyday practice. What actions do we need the presidency to be conveying or communicating to the public for the inactions of officers at the presidency who have been put in place to make sure these things don't happen?
So, Roland, if you had allowed me to finish, I probably would have touched on all these matters. But
Please
let me summarize, possibly because as a result of time.
Thank you.
My position here is that it is clearly, this matter is not just a breach of protocol. It's also a breach of security. Like I said, there are ordinary establishments that you are not even allowed to take your cameras to. You will not be allowed to get closer in any shape or form. So for you to have the inner perimeters of your presidential palace, which would ordinarily not be allowed to be taken out, to be out there, I take it as a security breach and not necessarily a protocol that has been breached, because the breach of protocol may not have any ramifications on the citizen. But a breach of security, however minute it might be, regardless of whether it's involved, particularly when it's involved the presidential daughter, succeeding in allowing this to happen. So it appears that some people feel that being the direct first family, they are allowed to do what they feel without thinking about the ramifications on the nation. Now, my message this morning is this: regardless of who you are, once you become the leader of a country, you no longer own your life and the things around you the way you used to do when you were a private citizen. And so your conduct, and in this particular case, misconduct, have huge consequences on our security. The absence of the president affects literally everything in this country. And so I would wish that the presidents, as you're asking directly, tell us exactly how this happened and what measures they are putting in place to forestall a future reoccurrence.
Ms. Abdullah, you want the president directly to do the communication?
Because this breach came from the president and his family, direct family. The people below who naturally would have read the body language and sometimes the direct or indirect instructions of the family of the president to have allowed this to happen. Otherwise, ordinarily, this will never happen. Ordinarily, there is no way this would ever happen. And I say this because I've had a personal experience of a visit to the Flagstaff House. There is no way this can ever happen without the direct and indirect body language or sometimes express instructions from the president or his direct family members allowing and instructing the people to be allowed that kind of access. This will never happen in an ordinary course of life.
All right.
And so I do not know how often you go to the Flagstaff House. Maybe possibly you probably go there on an official duty, so you may be allowed some slack. But officially and ordinarily, you will never be able to have this kind of access and be able to video it and put it out there without any checks from any office. I mean,
there is a defense that has been put up that we want to promote beyond the return. So it used to be the way it was, and now it is beyond the return. Okay. Now,
yes, please.
If we take that as a government policy and an initiative to make sure we bring diasporans together, how does the issue of culture then come in? Because the gentleman is from America, suburban America. You know, America, they have a lot of swag, etc. How do we marry the two within what is a security protocol and then also a cultural visit?
So this is it. You do not need to expose your security installations to the world before you can have your country sold out there, published out there. Is it impossible that assuming the display of the presidential palace to the world is the way to sell our country? Couldn't we have done it any better? Couldn't we have had a well thought out plan from experts who can easily video this and give it to the whole world, or whoever wishes to use the Flagstaff House? Couldn't we have had appropriate security measures in place so that any visitor who wishes to even have access to the place can have access? But if you intend using any premises of the Flagstaff House for the purposes of your media outreach, you have protocols that you have to follow, security measures that you need to follow, and places that you can easily you can easily put out there and places you cannot put out. Couldn't we have done this and achieved the same objective and possibly better if it was appropriately done? I think the question is not entirely about the exposure. It's about how it happened. And the way it happened is condemnable. And if you do not bring this to the attention of those with the appropriate authorities to ensure that we do not witness this in future, we may be sitting here and the next day, someone else from Togo would come and simply just kidnap the president, and we will still be wondering how it happened. We need to ensure that these matters are brought to the attention of the appropriate authorities. They need to know that what they did was wrong. If they intend selling their country through any other means, there should be the right ways of going about it. And we can achieve the same objective, or even better.
Okay. All right. Please be on the stream, or we'll call you back to be on the stream if you want to go and do something else. So, because we have a conversation about how the former Speaker of Parliament, Michael Quay, is raising concerns about the attrition rate of Parliament, but some amendments that we need to do to make sure that we show up the storehouse of knowledge for Parliament or the legislature. But you wanted to avert my mind to a constitutional provision.
Yes, my very good friend was talking about NDC only determined to win power through President Mahama, calling for his removal. But let me draw his attention to this, because we are all governed by the law, and we are speaking because constitutionally we think the president, even when I said he's acting capriciously, it's because of what is in the Constitution. If you read Article 68, 1b, the preamble says the president shall be removed from office if he is found in in accordance with the provisions of this article. Then b, to have conducted himself in a manner which brings or is likely to bring the high office of the president into disrepute, ridicule, and contempt. This is in the Constitution. But the question is, what we are discussing now, does it bring the presidency into disrepute?
Who determines that?
I'm a citizen. I feel it has brought.
So you are raising that concern.
Exactly. So if somebody goes to say that based on what he has done, in his view, the president has misconducted himself, it is not President Mahama who is saying.
No, I've not said
just to conclude, I'm saying that if we had seen Jankoma and the father our president, at home, with Meek Mills even in Kyoto, nobody would have been complaining. It's simply because the venue for this is the presidency. In fact, people visit the president at home, they have lunch, even his own dressing can go down because he's at home. But when you are hosting people at the Flagstaff House, that is the seat of government, that is the embodiment, that everybody who comes there must reflect what we want as Ghanaians. We are not against Meek Mills, and I repeat, unless you are not old enough, you know that President Akufo-Addo is not the one who started the journey to reconnect our brothers and sisters from diaspora. President Rawlings did that many times. In fact, Pan Affairs is even a foundation currently led by very competent people who actually have been promoting this year in, year out. So what is this that we are talking about as if the president's daughter and the president cares more or have come to a new awakening that some people don't understand them? No, that cannot be. Nobody, in fact, you'll be surprised that maybe you like rap music and he likes rap. That is not the point. The point is that nobody allows a camera from an unadulterated individual into your presidential palace. In fact, if you go there now, there are pictures, there are inscriptions. No pictures to be taken. All the way around. You can't even take pictures. Let alone take a camera there to film things. That is what we are talking about.
Well, my brother, first of all, the gentleman on Zoom.
The legal practitioner.
Yes. I don't think the government is saying that what transpired is how it intends to promote Ghana. I don't think that's what the government has said.
What is the government
And the
saying?
government has not defended what happened as their way of promoting Ghana. It's never the case.
So what's the government's position? Is the government position your position?
My position is that what transpired is an error that needs to be fixed. What is
the government position?
The government will come out and state a position. But the point I am making...
3 days after the incident.
It doesn't
matter.
My brother, what matters is that the presidency will come out and explain what ought to be explained.
After 3 days?
However many days, I am saying that what matters is that the presidency will come out and speak to the people.
But you don't know when?
No, the point I am making to you is that it is not the case, as is being created, that the presidency is saying that what happened is their way of promoting Ghana. Never. Nobody has ever said that. So let's not create that impression. It's false. It is also not the case that the presidency is not accessible to Ghanaians. It is not the case. We have Ghanaians who have gone to the presidency.
Has somebody said the presidency is not accessible?
The impression is being created.
Who has created the impression?
My brother said that when a Ghanaian goes there, it's almost as if he's a terrorist.
No, it's because he's describing the...
No, he's describing the process and how sometimes it is difficult for even Ghanaians to access the president. And I'm saying that Ghanaians have had access to the president. What happened is a breach. We all appreciate it. But let's not create the impression that people or Ghanaians don't have access to the president. I don't think that is the case. Then, to my other point, it is very, very, very important that now we are speaking about security. It is very, very important. Now we are speaking about places where you can take pictures and places where you cannot take pictures. Because this issue has come up before, where people defended that it is okay for any Ghanaian to go anywhere and take any picture. There were lawyers who came out and said that for any Ghanaian to go into any security installation and take a picture is not any form of a breach. So I am happy that we've come full circle to appreciate that, you know what, there are places where we have to be very, very careful. I am also happy that we are talking about the security of the president. Because there are instances where the NDC, in criticizing the president on his expenditure, which is fine, breaches the security of the president. I'll give you an example. My brother Okujeto Ablakwa, for example, anytime he talks about the presidential jet, he goes to the extent of even giving the flight details, where the president is going to land, where he took off, the flight number, all of that schedule, everything. I'm sure you know that. So I am glad that we have my brother, a law lecturer, appreciating that we have a security issue that we have to take seriously. I am glad that my brother, who is the MP, appreciate that security is
so beyond your
important.
gratitude, what's the substantive issue you want to raise with them?
The substantive issue I am raising is this.
The President of the Republic,
yeah,
since 1992, and its security have always been matters of concern and within the remit of security and protocol for every Ghanaian.
The point I am making to you is that we all know that. And we are all supposed to believe that. But there have been instances where, for political sake, that argument has been put aside. That security consciousness has been put aside. And I am saying that...
Like the situation that happened with the...
No, I am giving you an example that this situation has brought to the fore the need for all of us to be careful. So let's establish that yes, an error happened. Okay. It is giving us insight that it is never right for an MP like Okujeto Ablakwa, for example, to put the president's itinerary publicly. It is never right for somebody.
Okujeto Ablakwa, as a matter of fact, wanted to know how much was spent, because there was a big question he asked, or if not
but Roland, I have already said that. I said that Okujeto did
money being spent by the president.
No, Roland, you are not getting my. I said that Okujeto. I said that Okujeto.
You are making your point.
But you are misconstruing my point. I said that you are. Let me explain to you why you are misconstruing my point.
I am not misconstruing your point. Mr. Okujeto Ablakwa, as a member of parliament, posed a question.
And I've already said that.
To the defense minister.
I've already said that.
And it follows an earlier question to the finance about how much is spent. And then
Roland,
there is a response that it is a national security issue.
No, you are not. No. That's the point I'm saying, that you are misconstruing my point.
Oh, am I misconstruing?
No, let me explain to you. Yes. Because I said that there is no harm in Okujeto asking for how much is spent. And then I went further to say that what is wrong is him putting the president's itinerary out, details of the flight, what time he's taking off. That's what I said. I never questioned Okujeto querying.
Because there was an earlier denial that an action had even been taken in that regard.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't call for him to put out the president's flight details. It doesn't matter. He has done it several times. So I'm saying that, yes, it's good that this has come up. So let's take cue so that going forward we can avoid some of these errors, just like what transpired. Now, lastly, nobody has said that President Akufo-Addo invented the reconnection of African Americans in Ghana. Nobody has said that. I haven't said that. You haven't said that. All we said, yes, we haven't said that. So what is this impression being created that why is President Akufo-Addo trying to take credit as if he created what? No. We are only saying that there is a new initiative which is helping us project and promote the country, which is a good thing. In doing that, there's been a lapse. Let's correct, criticize, and move forward in ensuring that this lapse doesn't occur again. But nobody has said that the work of Professor Ifua Sunderland with Pan-African, in fact, Professor Ifua Sunderland is actually part of the Year of Return Committee. I sat on the committee with her. So nobody has said that her works are not.
But nobody here has said that.
No, but he has created the impression that government is trying to take undue credit for the reconnection between Ghanaians and African Americans. Yeah, that's what he said. You are sitting here. That's what he said.
Yeah, Roland, the point is that I made my point saying that he said the new thing in 2019, and I'm saying that
it's a new project.
Ghana had always had the intention to reconnect us with our brothers and sisters abroad. That is why I brought in that. He mentioned my colleague Honorable Okujeto. The fact is that government had been consistently evasive about the expenditure of colossal amounts allocated to the presidency.
He has not denied that. He says that following that, but he doesn't
warrant. I don't have a problem with that.
No.
I don't have a problem with that.
And out of that, Honorable Okujeto Ablakwa asked direct questions. In the initial stages, they denied the fact that the president was consistently traveling on this jet. to make his point clear so the Ghanaians know that he wasn't lying, he published the details. In fact, it was only when he began to publish the details that they owned up and said the president was traveling. In fact, there were instances that he even went as far as saying that they think that they are doing a dummy. So they will let the president take another flight and then go and join the presidential, his luxurious jet.
So my point is,
within the period when the denial was being made, that flight itinerary plan was the flight on which the president was?
No. I don't want to go into the details. What I'm saying is that I don't want to go into that.
Because you don't want to go into
like many things under this government, until you prove with details, they will never admit
beyond all reasonable.
Exactly.
No.
Take the cathedral side. We are only paying for the cathedral.
You don't have to prove details by putting the president's itinerary out.
It turns out that almost all the money, in fact, to the extent that the source of money they are paying to the consultant and everything, they denied it until it was.
But he said this is a matter of national security.
Yeah, you don't have to put the president's security staff out. Let's condemn your colleague. That's what you have to do. Condemn your colleague.
Taking pictures of security places.
No, somebody has said that. Somebody has said that. You have said that.
You have said that. It's generated. Let's not bring Okuja.
You have said that.
Okay, we're taking a break. When we come back, we need to ask the question.
Their party has said that.
Can I?
No, it was about Hotel Kufuor.
Please, can I take a break?
Yes.
Okay, please.